I did recognize in myself this wanting to figure what I am, who I am. And to me, it was never different. Like who I am and what I'm going to end up doing in life was the same thing to me. That's how I just naturally thought. I didn't think, okay, I'm like this person, and now I got to get a job. It could be any job, whatever. I just thought, it seems like I'm not playing sports. I'm not gravitating towards cars or motorcycles, or I'm gravitating towards books and storytelling and paintings and writing, and I thought, well, there's only one name for that, art. And so maybe I'm an artist. And so I spent the next, let's see, from 14 to through my 20s, trying to convince myself that was in fact who I was, an artist.
I also want to talk about teaching. You teach.
I do, yeah.
Okay. What do you get out of that as a teacher? What's the biggest thrill for you? What do you get out of it? Or what do you enjoy doing about it?
I do it because I work with a lot of bad actors.
You mean in films?
In films. And
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, there's so much nonsense going on out there.
Yeah.
That, when I'm on a film or I run into a good actor who's young, and I can't believe it. I'm shocked at how good they are. I'm so happy that they're alive and that they're doing what they're doing. Like I remember the first time I met Ben Foster, I was like, dude, I'm so happy you're around. If you're an actor and you're in the audience right now, I hope you're studying, and I hope you're not lazy, and I hope you're reaching every time to do the best work you can. You should never, ever not thinking of the arts. If you're working in a bar, you should be in museums more than that bar. I mean, I cannot believe people end up on a set. I can't believe it. I'm shocked.
It's all about a face and nothing else, or whatever.
Well, I have no idea why they're there. I can't believe it. Guys and girls, I'm just totally in shock about it. And then every once in a while, you'll meet like a guy or a girl or a young man or a young woman who's like amazing. And I say, where do you study? And they all, have been studying constantly for years, and their whole lives are consumed by the arts. And there needs to be more. And there's so much opportunity out there for you young people, and not just young people, but older people too. If you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s, wherever you are, if you're just starting acting, there's a lot of room out there for actors. You can steal parts like that. There is so much crap out there right now that if you have any talent and know how to execute it, you have a chance at working in theater and in film. Because they are blindly walking kids through performances. Giving them line readings, speaking to them while they're acting. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. It's like there's other jobs that they could be doing. So what I do is I go back to my roots, and I teach what I was taught, and I'm completely committed to it, and I go through I don't pretend like I know it all when it comes to acting. I go through a period of time with my students, and we slowly and surely I turn them slowly into artists without thinking that I know and I'm the one that has the ultimate wisdom when it comes to acting. And for sure I don't. But what I do teach them is is that failure is everything, and that you really have to put yourself out there. You really have to study. You really have to do research. You really have to know what's going on, you know. And I'm being kind of wishy-washy and vague about it because there's a whole technique of acting, but I'm not going to sit here in front of you and explain that to you because that would take 6 hours to do. And there's working actors now, and they're out there, and they're actually real actors, and so that's why I do it. I do it because to have more, you know, actors out there that know how to act and know how to act like in the real way you're supposed to, and not just modeling or whatever. There's nothing wrong with modeling, but it's two different jobs.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great advice. Thank you for that.
What are you interested in?
Screenwriting, acting, yeah.
What do I have to say? I say write. No, seriously.
What about acting?
Of course. If you want to screenwrite or act, I would say do it. Look, in this business, the only way you get anything done is to do it. Talking about it don't mean shit. It's true. It's not what people say, it's what they do.
Look, let me tell you something. Everybody knows me by now, all my friends. I'm very serious about this. I could guess your age. I won't say it.
Guess.
I'm not going to do that. If you really want to do what you're saying you want to do, you should be doing it all the time. You are not going to become a good writer unless you write. You are not going to become a good actor unless you act. You need to be doing it all the time. So listen, I know it takes money, jobs to pay rent, and this and that. I went through the whole thing. But the whole time I was working, 3 different jobs, driving cabs, bouncing in bars, doing whatever I had to do, I was acting all the time. It's the one thing, when I go to colleges, when I teach, I tell students that are your age, is that when I ask them, are you writing now? And they say no, I say, why? What better things do you have to do than do what you love most? What's better than what you love most? Nothing. And if you truly want to be that person where people look at and say, I want to write like her, you have to write all the time, dear. All the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always about the work, yeah. I mean, absolutely, always about the work. It always has been. It's why I can come out here and not feel like a fraud. It's why I can walk out on stage every night and not have butterflies. It's why I can juggle many different things when the camera's rolling. I can, you know, if you think about it in terms of juggling, I can juggle an accent, a reaction, action, posture, voice. I can juggle 5 or 6 balls while the camera's rolling. I'm completely committed to the work, and I'm never nervous about it. And because that's where my mind is, that's where my commitment is. You do some things in life. You meet and marry the woman that you're going to stay with for the rest of your life. My wife, Corinne. That I've done. You have children and you raise them. That I'm doing. It's the only other thing I have that I care about is my work. And I've never left it unanswered. I've never left any part of my work unfinished. I mean, just the challenge these days of creating a killer on film, that challenge alone is a huge challenge. So that alone as a challenge, and so to approach things in a very human way when it comes to, I mean, there's a lot of scary movies out there with killers in them, but they're all nonsense, you know. Yeah. But to create it in a very kind of real way, in a very human way, is a challenge for an artist to do. And to create any character in a very human way, in a psychological way, and for that psychological thread to work throughout the storytelling in a really fine way, in a really, you know, in a really grounded way. To combine that kind of work with the story is a very difficult thing to do. And I love doing it, so I don't turn those parts down. I want it to be so different that people Like, not even that they would not even that people would go, oh, wow, isn't he fabulous? I wanted it so different that people didn't even know that it was the same actor.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew eventually that if I kept doing it that way, eventually people would know. And then in hindsight, they'd be able to go back and say, oh, that's the same guy who, you know, rather than, you know, draw attention to myself. I did everything to not draw attention to myself.
I stopped looking at anything that I ever do years ago now. I'm still trying to get all my friends to do it too. It's so much better for you. But not all of them listen, or some of them pretend like they listen and they don't really listen. But I stopped looking at anything I do. I don't look at playback. I don't look at the movie ever. I don't. If I'm in it, I don't see it. If I have to go to a premiere.
So how do you cut your movie with you in it?
Because I'm in it so little.
Yeah.
That
so
I
it doesn't
just
bother
let
you
the
as
editor
much.
do it.
And the editor does it.
Yeah.
So the editor actually does it with you, not in the room when you're in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really. It's not. I've realized that it has nothing at all to do with what I do for a living, to watch myself back. It has nothing to do with it. And you can pretend like, oh, I do it to fine-tune my performance, or, oh, you know, I like to see if I'm getting things right. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It has nothing to do with creating a character. And the evolution of the character is while you're playing a character, there's a constant evolution of the character going on while you're playing it. And you're putting it in danger to watch it back. It could end the evolution. And so you don't want to know what's coming around the corner. You don't want to know what people are seeing, what people are feeling. You just want to experience it. And that's how I do it. And it's helped me so much in my acting. And I think my acting has gotten better. For, you know, if my acting sucked before, it just sucks a little bit now. You know, it's like it does improve what you do.
That's a man where you just look into his eyes, and all you have to do is basically look into his eyes, and you get what you want. You get what you need, you know, from him. He's got this amazing quality about him, you know.
You know, when you're in this business for a long time, as you guys know, if any of you have been in the business for a long time, there's such a warmth between legitimate actors, people that are not jerks, and that, because there's a few of them too, but the ones that aren't, and the ones that have met under the best circumstances where everybody's committed actor and everybody's legitimate actor, like these people we've been talking about, when you meet them later on in life, or you meet them continuously through your whole career, there's such a camaraderie, such a warmth as a peer, even, is just so warm and so great. I mean, it's one of the best things about, I think, about being an actor who's been doing it for a long time. As you get older, things just get better, you know. It's just amazing how warm this business can really be, you know. Sorry to go on about it, but
No,
it's
I love that.
You know, these guys, these people, these girls, these men, these women that I was performing with in Clive were incredible actors. I mean, they were just phenomenal, you know. Put me to shame. You know, they were just so good at what they did.
You were terrific in Clive.
I was okay,
Right?
but no, well, I'm not fishing for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
compliment.
yeah.
It's just as a look. I know I'm a good actor. That's for sure. You know, I don't have a career for no reason. I have a career. It's certainly not because of my looks or because I'm I should have been, like, it was like this toss up between being like a supermodel and a actor. You know, I mean, I'm an actor. I'm successful because I'm a good actor. I get that. But I also know good actors when I see them, and you know, every night was a thrill. We were talking about Zoe Kazan.
Yeah.
I mean, every night Zoe would come out, and there was a line, there's a rat dying in the gutter, so what, right? Just that line. And every night that woman would perform that line differently. Every night. Like, she was so brave that she would come out there, and every night completely committed to a brand new way of saying that line, or feeling something and having the line just come through what she was feeling, rather than, I'm not saying that she would practice the line in a different way. No, she would create this whole new thing every night. And so whatever was going on inside her body, and I would watch it happen. And then the line, the author's words would just come through whatever was going on through it. And it would land differently every night. And some nights it would be completely flat, like, and that would work. And some nights it would be like spark that moment in the play. And that would work too. It was just incredible. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. That's Clyde.
Well, I want to talk about living in the moment.
And also, wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because he's like a brother to me. Ethan Hawke is, just, I know him so well as a person first, but to be on stage with him every night, where there were portions in the play where we just never left the stage for a long period, and we're just, spewing out all this crazy emotion, and he just gives everything he has, that kid. I mean, he's a kid to me. He everything he has every night. Like a real artist, like a true artist would. It's far from, theater. It's guts and spit and blood and just, every night. Amazing. I mean, I was like so impressed. So anyway.
And I have a particular way of directing. I have a particular way of being an artist, and like all artists do. But I definitely have this way that comes natural for me to direct, is I involve myself in people's performances. Like I talk to them, and I talk them through it at times, and I also have conversations with them while the camera's rolling, but private conversations. And Ethan and I do that, Chris and I do that, and we do it for each other and to each other all the time when we're acting together. So that becomes part of the way I direct. And I had to find an actor that, number one, could pull off Billy the Kid, and not in like a shitty way, in a good way. And number two, somebody that would fit in with my way of doing things, and this kind of, not Hollywood bullshit loyalty, but real loyalty, like real friendship and real, somebody that carries humility and appreciates humility and brings it into their parts and is not afraid of exposing their pathetic self at times.
Some actors are very smart and really clever people and very imaginative, and you just have to pay attention as a director as to what's a good idea, not just a good idea, but a good idea that also keeps your vision in place, and that just because it's a good idea doesn't mean that it's your vision. And so you have to be careful not to change your script as you're shooting it because if somebody had a really good idea. Just to make sure that you're making the film that you wanted to make.
When it comes to making films, it's part of the whole thing. You get to see everything and touch everything, every piece of fabric, every piece of furniture, you get to sit there with Sarah K. White, this amazingly talented production designer, and see her ideas and riff with her and make up, figure out what kind of film stock you want to use with somebody, this like intelligent guy like Matthew Lloyd, who's like a fucking genius, and he's like, oh, we can do this and we can do that. Is that what you're talking about? This? No, I'm talking about that kind of Kodachrome color from like the 70s. No, well, look at this, and it's like we can control every aspect of the film, and watch it. I can see it. It's different. It's like drawing. It's different than acting. The evolution is unfolding in front of you. You have to be able to see it to enforce the unfolding of it. I like telling stories.
So you just want to be part of that collective
service the story, and what you know, still to this day, I do tiny little things in films. You know, like I'll go for a day and do something. I just want to help service the story. Like if I can do that, I still almost 60 years old, and I still get a thrill from that.
So script first, more so than director first for you?
Script first, story first, story, story, story. It's always been like that for me. Story, story, story. Yeah.
We really wanted to find a system of acting, something that we could follow, something that we could actually, that was written out and that would make sense. You know, not that, because my sister Beth and I, we never really thought of it as something you kind of wing, because anybody that we'd ever met that winged it was really bad at acting.
Well, my sister was in did all the theater groups in school, and I never did anything like that. And she said, I think I'm going to go to New York and study acting there. I said, well, can I come? She goes, for what? I said, well, study acting. Why not, right?
Huh.
And she said, yeah, let's go together. So we went, and we both got into the American Stanislavski Theater Company, and we both learned the Stanislavski system of acting from this woman, Sonia Moore, who was actually a student of Stanislavski's and wrote all the books on Stanislavski. And we did some plays with her, and we used to do colleges, travel and tour and do colleges and do classics back to back and stuff. And then during my research about acting, Stanislavski, I realized that this was not the complete works of Stanislavski that we were doing, that there was an earlier works of Stanislavski, which they had turned into method acting, that Stanislavski gave up on and started this other system because his actors were becoming too self-indulgent. So I found out about Actor Studio, and I found out about a woman named Sharon Chatton who would teach me method acting. And so I studied for 6 years with her. And during that 6 years, I started to do plays in the city and started to work. And I eventually ended up on Broadway in a play that didn't last for very long called Open Admissions. And then I got Full Metal Jacket.
It sounds like you were a very serious kid. I mean, like you really, like when you did magic, you really did it?
Yeah, I was
When
introverted.
you did acting, you really did it?
I didn't have a lot of distractions.
Huh.
Because I was introverted. Like I had one or two friends and not a lot of distractions. You know, no drugs, no nothing, no alcohol. There was I was not up to no good.
So when you got Full Metal Jacket, you knew who Kubrick was contextually?
Yeah.
And
I'd seen all his movies already, yeah. I felt like, my God, I'm going to be an actor in a movie. This will be really cool. And I was prepared because I had all this experience on stage. And I knew how to create a character. I was already very confident in creating characters. You know, Stanley doesn't talk about story. He doesn't talk about acting. He doesn't talk about performance. You know, he just he says, what are you going to do? And then you got to do it. And he says, okay, I'm going to put a camera here, and he goes, okay, you got to do it better. You got to do it faster. That's not good enough. Is that really the way you're going to do it? Just like that? That's what he would say, things like that. And in a nice way, but in a way that really puts the light on you. Like, look, this is your, I have a job, you have a job, you know. I kept my job as a bouncer. I kept working as a bouncer. I kept making money. And I would, sometimes I would go for auditions. Sometimes I would get letters from people. Like Scorsese sent me a letter. Like people would send me letters to encourage me. And I thought it was really lovely. And bring me in to workshop on films with them. I did it for Mike Nichols. I did it for Scorsese. I did it for a couple people. And then, you know, every once in a while I'd get an audition and this and that. But meanwhile, my main task at the time was to get all the 70 pounds off. So I was offered a bad guy in a James Bond thing, if I remember correctly. Something like that.
Right.
Some big... I remember it was something like, you know, I could have done it, but I would have looked exactly the same as I did in Full Metal Jacket. And that was like stupid to me. Like that didn't make sense.
Right.
And I wasn't like that desperate to, you know, be successful. I just wanted to be an actor. And
the only way that I could lend how I feel about it to you guys and hope to inspire you by that is to say, if you have that thing in your head and in your stomach that makes you want to just do stuff creative, just do it. You know, don't talk about it. Do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.